What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back. It's in the evening. It is the 26th of August, 2020, and we're here because we all know what's going on in the world as well as the sports world. So we're going to give our opinions on it. Hey, what's up? My name is Mike, and it's Tyrone, it's
Tyrone.
Hollister. Oh, yeah, to the podcast. So as we guys know, what's happening? The players decided to boycott early this morning. Tyron had told me the information. I was doing some other work, and he had told me that, and I saw it, and I had a feeling it was coming because a lot of people did still feel uneasy about coming into the bubble because of the social injustice issues distract from what's going on. As we all know, recently, African American man was shot 7 times, I think 7 or 9 times in the back
Seven.
in Wisconsin. He was paralyzed. He survived, but he's paralyzed. He was, and his kids was in the car. About
Seven.
yeah, seven. Thank you, and that was his name is there was a
Jacob Blake.
Jacob, thank you, Jacob Blake. And the players was really upset about it, and a lot of players felt like, what, it's time. So the Milwaukee Bucks and Orlando Magic were the first teams to decide not to play, and it trickled down to everybody else. And they're gonna have a meeting tomorrow morning in regards to trying to see if they can salvage the season of what demands and what stuff can be done. But I pretty much think it's gonna be a wrap. I have a couple opinions on this, but I'm gonna start off with Hollister and just give you a take on it. And like I said, guys, we're gonna try to keep this brief for everybody. This is still sports related, but we're just gonna experience this situation. So go ahead, Hollister.
All right. The whole situation it sucks. It's been going on for way too long. We need some serious change in this world to happen. I'm pretty sure we all experienced a little something similar at some point in life. I know I have. We got to make a change. We got to keep standing up together and fight. Keep fighting for the change that need to come. I respect the NBA players so much for standing up and not just doing what the owners and everybody expect them to do and just sweep everything under the rug. I know they're going to make a real big impact, and also the MLB is doing the same thing. I'm sure the NFL will, get involved as well too. But we got to make a change. We got to stick together and fight this. We got to do it. Like what everybody been saying about we got to stay together. Come together as one and fight against this. Hopefully, it happens sooner than we think.
Yeah, good
I'll
point.
just keep it short.
All right, cool. Menelik?
Yeah, so similar to what Hollis is saying, at the end of the day, no matter how you think, feel, the certain circumstances leading into the situation, or this example over another example, this person, that person, at the end of the day, what's happening is not right. It's been a problem for a very, very, very long time. And there needs to be a change. And the players live that. A lot of them come from backgrounds and places where these things are a reality for themselves, their family, their cousins, you know, and a lot of them, did come into the bubble. Yeah, they had the messages, there's the t-shirts, there's the writing on the court, there's this, there's that. But some of them, are feeling like, what else is gonna happen? What else is there to do? How are we gonna make this change? You know, having the messages is nice. You
Yeah.
know, having a commercial, having organizations make statements, that's great. And some change has happened. I'm sure some people have realized what's going on and their hearts have been moved and changed, but it's still happening. So they're like, some of them feel, okay, maybe we are taking attention away from it. And then some people, I'm sure for them, it's just their mental kind of health or stability, or they just can't be in a frame of mind to really compete in a certain way with something like that happening. So, I mean, I understand the player's position to some extent. And I do feel like, the NBA, for multiple reasons, on the one hand, obviously, they knew that they probably had no choice but to support the players in a certain sense. But the NBA has shown that they're understanding and they're very much about promoting social justice and working with their players and respecting them and their wishes. So to see that they kind of then postponed the rest of the games, and I know the WNBA players also decided to do the same thing. So, I mean, hopefully something tangible can come out of everything. But yeah, that's kind of like
Okay.
my initial kind of feelings on it.
All right. Tyrone?
Yeah, it's a sad situation. I mean, you have a
Hello? Did we lose them?
situation
Okay.
on
go ahead.
video by police when they didn't have. Yes, can you hear me? You can hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hear you now.
It's a situation. You can hear me? All right.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
So I was saying it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation where you have another situation where a black man, an unarmed black man, is being excessively attacked. I call it an attack. Another attack on a black man by white police officers on video again. It's almost like nobody in the police force learned their lesson from the George Floyd situation. And you have this man who, regardless of what the police were saying, whether they told him to stop or whether he was involved in whatever was going on, he's walking towards his car. They shoot him in the back 7 times with his children in the car. I never understood why. I mean, if you wanted him to stop, if you wanted to use force, you could have tased him. You could have grabbed him, anything. He wasn't armed. I didn't see any weapon in his hand when I saw the video. But yet, you wait till the man bends down in his car and then shoot him 7 times. So I guess the excuse will be, well, he probably was reaching down for something. But that's my opinion on that. I don't want to get too much into that right now because it's upsetting. But for the NBA players, Milwaukee Bucks, I salute them, especially being that they're the hometown team. Giannis, Antetokounmpo, George Hill, those guys stepped up and decided to refuse to play the game. I think it's a very brave and tremendous honor for them to stand up for what's going on in the world. I think everybody else following up and doing it, I think that's good. I think the whole league should do it. I don't even think the game should continue because they came to the bubble being told that they'll express their feelings and they have a platform. And it's almost like they did all of this expecting to use their platform for change. They came to the bubble. Everything was going smoothly. Then this happens again. And then they're looking like, well, we're in the bubble. We can't go protest. A lot of players are upset they can't protest. So I guess it's frustrating, and it's just a lot going on right now. I really don't even have much to even say about what's going on with the players right now until we get more information. But it's looking like some players are willing to leave the bubble so they can go support the protesters, which I fully agree with. If guys wanted to play, they'll play. If they don't, I support it. I don't think these guys right now, I don't think they're even motivated to play basketball right now. They came to the bubble with this thought that they'll be able to come out and talk about racial injustice and all this stuff, and it'll help ease everything that happened with Floyd. And it just they didn't expect this, and it's just sad. I really don't even have enough. I don't know what else to really say right now. So I know Mike, he has a lot on. Like right now, I have a lot to say. I can't even come up and off the top of my head right now and just come up with things. I'll probably just follow up on things Mike will say because I know he has a lot to talk about with it. So I'm just going to turn it over to him right now and just listen and just jump in on certain things with him because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with everybody. I'm just gonna say honestly, at the beginning, before we already talked about, you guys know how I love basketball, and I was trying to say, maybe they could still play, but I understood where the players was coming from. But this point is a little bit different. Um, I want to start off by saying I understand what, like, I watched a little bit of First Take today when I was working on the car, and I understand what Stephen A. Smith was trying to say about not, still playing and having that platform. And then if you look at it from a logical perspective, you can see, like, all right, you know what? If LeBron or if Giannis or somebody else was protesting in their, towns or their cities, I mean, you might not see the coverage because it's more mainly local news, whereas on a national stage, you will see it through the games. And I understand that argument. However, it's too much lip service. You know what I mean? And to Malik's point earlier with the whole gestures, there's a lot of gestures being made, but these gestures are just small time gestures. And it's really taking advantage of us as a people, where they think that, all right, we take off Aunt Jemima off the thing. We put Black Lives Matter on the streets in certain neighborhoods, that they really are helping us by doing that, by patting us on the back and saying everything's going to be okay because we painted the street Black Lives Matter. So to me, I commend the players, you know what I mean? And like I said, this is something that's coming from a place because, we all selfish in the sense that we would like to see them play ball, and we had the conversation talking about the champions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is bigger than basketball. This is our livelihoods, our children's livelihoods. This is our people's livelihoods. So it gets to the point where enough is enough. And I listened to Chris Webber's speech before we even got here, and I agree with him, his sentiments that, he commends the young people. And I was saying this to my father. We had conversations about this, and I was telling him, I think that the difference is going on now in the world, even though there are some still ignorant people out there. I noticed a dramatic change in young people accepting who they are, really being proud of who they are, and understanding the dynamic of what's going on now, and willing to stand up for change and fight. You know what I mean? And it was a lot that I was thinking about earlier today when I was driving to my parents' house, and I was just thinking about, when people try to talk about the Black Lives Matter, and they say my life matters too, and all this other stuff like that, where most people like that, they like to cause confusion. They like to, confuse the narrative, confuse people. So you spend more time trying to explain your position as opposed to getting the stuff done. Now, I do agree with Stephen A. Smith and the others when they were saying that, look, you want to, give people the resources, the people who are really doing the groundwork. Because like Chris Webber said, it's a start. You know what I mean? You got everybody's attention by boycotting. You're letting them know, like, I'm not going to sit here and play basketball and act like everything's okay and give you guys entertainment, enjoyment, regardless of the fact that, I have this platform, because it's still not right. These things are not changing. This is a systematic thing. The reason why we have these issues, because it's ingrained in individuals, especially the racist individuals, to do this. Yes, police brutality is not the only issue that we face as African Americans and Black people in this country, but is one of the, is a result of it. You know what I mean? Because when you have the police department, you have the police out there brutalizing people, arresting people unjustly, killing people unarmed, and they continue to do that. And the quote unquote good cops that are there don't speak up, don't say anything, and they just get a slap on the wrist and get off with it. There's no hope, because how many of us, got pulled over by the cops multiple times? I got cops come up on me, swarm me one time when I used to work in the park, and and they thought I fit the description, and I talk about squad cars and everything, ran up on me, and due to the grace of God, I never experienced them like pull out a gun, but who knows? Back then I had braids, young kid in my early like 20s probably, or even 19, and they rolled up on me. Now they thought I fits the description, but I didn't. There's another time I was out with Charity. We was on a bus and somebody robbed the bank. They came in, their guns jointed. Look, the gun pointed in my direction. Even though it wasn't pointing at me, it was still in my direction. Many times I got pulled over by cops at night driving, and some DTs try to illegally search my mom's vehicle one time, and I had to tell them, let me call my lawyer, and then they got an attitude about it. But all of these things have happened. I know Malik had issues. Hollister, Tyrone, you told me one time you was in a cab, they pull over the cab and take you out the cab and get another cab.
More. It
Yes,
happened
you know what I'm saying?
twice.
So we all,
And I'm a passenger
exactly.
in the cab.
So
I've been stopped. Sorry, I was gonna run down my situation. Yeah, I've had that twice. Me and my brother was in the staircase in our building, because we live in the quote unquote projects. When you see two young Black guys
going to school,
I've been searched in front of my brother. I've been searched in the rain.
Hmm.
I was searched in the rain one time. I'll never forget on Dumont Rockaway Avenue, where I had to put my hands on the you know on the wall there in the rain. So multiple times. Of course, car stops too. But
Yeah.
yeah, we all have those stories.
That's what I'm saying. So look at that legal searches from you. I know Malik was one time illegally searched in the evening one time to stop and frisk stuff. So this is a problem in our community. So the issue is we all have this experience and we all get the jitters. I still get nervous to this day sometimes when I see the cops about to pull me over. I remember one time I got pulled over with Charity in my car and we were dating and I was dropping her home. I had my hand on the steering wheel out the window. The guy said, "You don't have to do all that." I was like, "Nah, man. I ain't taking no chances." I was younger then too, and I just, a little bit, like snarky and a little bit, not snarky, but saying like little jokes
You,
and stuff.
you,
But at the
you
end of
know
the
what I
day,
usually
yeah, go ahead.
usually do when that happens?
Mhm.
As soon as they pull me over, I roll down both windows and my hand is on 10 and 2 o'clock,
That's
and I
it.
don't move
Same thing.
unless they tell me to move or
Exactly. But see,
something.
but that's my point is the fact that we have to go through that. We have to be like that. Even still, you can follow all the rules, all the regulations, do everything. It still doesn't matter. It's like, depending on the person and how wicked that person is. And, like I said, this is a fear tactic. The killing of us, black women, black men, kids, everything is to instill that fear. So you won't, it's like you won't question, you won't do certain things. And that's what it mainly is. And people might not want to hear that, but that's what it is. And we need to start holding these people accountable. Like we have family members who are in law enforcement. So it's not like a F the police type of thing that we going on with, but F those bad police. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a cop and you see your counterparts doing something wrong and you can't stand up to make sure and you just think it's all about protecting the boys in blue, even if they're wrong, and then F you too. At the end of the day, we have to make a stand. And I appreciate what the players have done. I mean, look, like Chris Webber said, we don't know what's going to happen after this. But it's obvious it's not going to make changes overnight. Not to say they're going to write a new law and make everything all peachy keen and we go out tomorrow and skip down the road. We understand that, but you have to make a stand. You have to fight. Even back then, in the 60s when they boycotted the buses, people had to sacrifice in order for them to change. You had to hit them when it hurts, and it hurts in the pockets. You know what I'm saying? These owners, if they really about just change, they need to help. They need to stand up with the players. They need to, do something. And I feel that you need to, as players and the people who are making this stand, they need to really, like, not be too emotional. I have this conversation with Charity a couple of times, and my wife, for those of you who don't know who Charity is, um, and she was saying, like, a lot of times we have to get out the emotion part of it. And it's true, it is hurtful. Like I didn't even watch that George Floyd video. I knew of it. I didn't watch the video of the guy, Jacob Blake. I didn't watch the video of the Arbery kid. I can't watch those things anymore. Like those things, not that I'm getting numb to it. I just don't like watching those things. I know of it, but I just don't even need to watch the video to understand the gravity of what it is. So, but when you get that rage and that emotion, we react right away while the other people are plotting and scheming. So what we need to do is really come together, like Hollister said earlier, and really try to support those who are really about us. Like weed out the thing, not the opportunists, not the people who are trying to get, by jumping on the bandwagon so they can get some bread or exploit the situation, but real people who are really about making change and actually doing these things, especially even in our own communities. I know it's hard. It's not easy to go in your community to talk to people and tell them not to do this, especially us being who we are. But as men, we have to really step up into certain stuff, especially in our households, letting our kids know what it is, how to serve their community the better way, how to do things the right way, and help people who want to be helped. Because a lot of people don't want to be helped. A lot of people want to stay ignorant, and we don't got time to re-educating them cats at the moment. This is a bigger war, if you will, for lack of a better word, that we have to address on that front. So it's a lot, man. It really is. Like Malik said earlier, the gestures on the jerseys and, them having the hats and talking about arrest the people who kill, Sergeant Bland, as we start to become more like a pop culture type of thing. It's not really any actionable items that are happening. So I know we will, like a lot of us and a lot of players were opposed. The whole Kyrie and the correlation was opposed to coming to the league and playing basketball. I understand what they mean by the distraction part, but is more to it than that. I think that it was a quote by somebody. I forgot. I'm going to paraphrase it. They said, sports is like a reward for, a society that's doing the right thing. I'm just paraphrasing because he had different words in it. And right now, we don't deserve to have sports. in the sense that outlet, that that freedom to like be able to hang out with your friends and talk about something else to deflect from the everyday life, the stresses like working and different things like that. But when it comes to social injustice, when it comes to these situations, you know, right now is not the time. And I'm pretty sure the players, when they had their meeting tonight and they had their meeting tomorrow, the season's not going to continue. It had to be something very drastic. Even I don't even think even arresting those police officers and arresting the police officers who killed Breonna Taylor or anything of that matter would cause the players to actually try to still play. But you never know. Like I said, money is the important thing in this country. And most of these owners and most of these cities and most of these, you know, wealthy people, once they start getting hurt financially, that's when they start to make things happen. And like I said, when the bus, us being able to sit wherever we want on the bus, wasn't because they felt they wanted to do something nice for us. It was because they was losing the money. You know what I'm saying? And we just got to get back to that, get back to owning our own things, get back to supporting our own, people as far as, shopping black, you know what I mean? And, people of color who are trying to do stuff that's positive for the community, like we support them. And because once we start, building our communities from the ground level up and doing that, I think we'll have more change, because it's okay to be separate, from these things. And I'm not talking about like on like old school segregation, like colors only, stuff like that, and whatever. I'm talking about, we don't need to be in that space with other people to feel that we making it in life. You know what I'm saying? We have us, everything has been stolen from us anyway, as far as creativity, as far as different things. And I hate to sound like so radical in a sense, but it is what it is. But, I don't want to hold it up too much longer. But, I was expecting us to come on and talk about games, not come on and talk about this. But it's something that's needed, and it's something that needs to happen. So, yeah, I stand with the players. And yes, to holler to your point, MLB did do it. Some teams did do it. I know Milwaukee, the Brewers, I think, did it. And another team, the NFL, the Detroit Lions, was like with the first team to cut their practice to speak on the subject. So, football is one of the major things that this country be beasting off of. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the
So if them players
Dodgers
say
and
they ain't
Giants.
playing, you go ahead, Tom.
So as a matter of fact, this this the Seattle Mariners, they have the most African American players in the major leagues. They postponed their game. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, during some, because there are some games playing right now that have continued. Some African American players like Matt Kemp, Dexter Fowler, they
Yeah.
actually boycotted in the middle of their games and were replaced.
Yeah.
So guys, this is really hitting everybody in all sports. The MLS, the soccer in their
Yeah.
bubble, they haven't stepped foot on a soccer field yet. So these are just reports I've looked at in the past 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Things
That's
like
good.
that is going on in the WNBA. Like I said, WNBA, they boycotted. Of course, the NBA. I doubt you'll see anything tomorrow, because the original team that started this was the Celtics and the Raptors. They
Yeah.
talked about doing it. Fred VanVleet, they talked about it. Milwaukee, of course. George Hill was really upset the other day too. So it's just ironic that the first game today was Milwaukee and Orlando, the team that the shooting happened in, and the team that the bubble was in,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which is Orlando. That's just ironic that those two teams are the teams that are the first to boycott, the Milwaukee and Orlando. That's just a coincidence right there. It's almost just as coincidental as that 24-8 score in the Lakers game the other day. But this is just unfortunate. This is a sad situation.
And
It's
it's another
I
thing I
don't
want
know
to touch on
when
real
this
quick,
stuff is gonna
because
stop.
a lot of people don't
The
understand.
players,
Go ahead.
they what hurts the. hmm
Hello?
No.
No,
You
sorry.
go ahead.
I was
It's
saying
all right.
that the thing that people just seem to understand. I
Yeah,
can't hear you
you
now.
can hear me.
Yeah, I said the
Yeah, go
thing
ahead.
that a lot of people don't understand, and I had this argument with somebody before, is that, look, man, crime is crime. We know it's not right. However, it's hard, and Stephen A said this too, and this is the honest truth. When you talk about white privilege and people don't understand what it looks like, when you have individuals who are white, who kill people,
They
who
don't.
did acts of violence, the
Mhm.
story is always about how they need help. They always trying to paint them as just like, a lost soul that needed help and needed coddling, like the cat Dylan Roof who killed those people in that church, some black people in the church, and left one alive so that one person could tell his story. He was an armed person. They're looking for him. Cops didn't shoot him. They arrested him. He was hungry. They stopped at McDonald's or Burger King to buy him something to eat.
No.
Right? You have Jacob, you know what I'm saying? Blake, who he got
Wait,
shot in the back. Yeah,
I never even
yeah,
heard
that's what
of
happened.
that.
And he got shot in the
Hmm.
back.
The
Dylan
guy
Roof,
with
yeah.
the
And then it was another thing I watched. Like it's many videos I see on social media. I saw a video on Facebook the other day. It was a white officer trying to subdue this white guy, and the white guy has a knife, walking towards her, excuse me, with the knife, and she has her gun drawn. All she do is keep running around the car, didn't pull the trigger not once, right? But with a black person, they could be running away from the situation. You shoot and kill them, and you
Yeah.
kill them because they didn't want. They ask them why you arrested me, and they worried, and
Oh
then you
yeah.
shoot and kill them. So it's like what is, and it's not. It's before you figure like, all right, now it's on tape. These people got to go to jail, but no, they find ways. The man in Texas who was chilling in his house, the woman came in his house and shoot him, the cop, and she crying crocodile tears, and they just barely slapping on the wrist. Like they gave her a sentence, then they kind of skate under the rug a little bit silently, like, oh, she's gonna appeal. You know what I'm saying? So there's no real justice, and people are tired. People are fed up. We are fed up, and I feel that you don't want to get to this severe, like this kind of like, you know, hostile environment where everybody's just violent and is wilding out. But at the end of the day, I understand why these people feel this way. I understand why people are angry. You know what I mean? I understand why some people want to lash out and flip over cars. I understand some of those things because at the end of the day, we're not being heard and it's falling on deaf ears. And you cannot continue to have a society where one particular group continue to excel while others gets trampled on and treated like animals in the scum of the earth. It can't work like that. And then you want us to entertain you by singing. You want us to entertain you by playing sports. You want us to entertain you by telling jokes. Don't get me wrong. Those players are not doing it just for them. They're doing it because they love the game. What they want to enjoy with their craft. That they worked hard to be at those positions. And we as African Americans and Black people, we loved watching that and supporting it. But it ain't a way for them to say we're gonna play and only Black people will see. You get what I'm saying? There's no way to do that. You know what I mean? So at this point, you got to stop it. You got to stop it. And I think once all these sports and all these things start happening, these people start walking out and start letting people know we're not having it, I think we're going to start getting some actionable items. But we can't just stop with protests. We can't just stop with small gestures. We got to take it to where things on paper. We have to have it on paper. It has to be law. It has to be stuff that's signed in. It has to be something that's written in because, the little small gestures and the kumbaya stuff is cool, but we need real change. And in order to have real change, we need like laws. They need to something. If a cop kills somebody unarmed, they lose their pension. They go to jail, especially if they found guilty. And it shouldn't be no thing about it. It shouldn't be like the police union getting mad at the fact that they're going to jail. Now, if something is an accident, it's an accident. But if it's something blatant, like all the cases that we have seen so far recently, you got to go to jail. That's it. It's a simple thing. If those things were happening, we won't even having this discussion, especially when it comes to police reform. There's other avenues to this whole systematic racism, but that small cog, the police, reform, is something that is drastic. We just want a fair shot. We want, if somebody do something wrong, they go to jail. Not only slap on the wrist or they indict them and then all of a sudden they get off on the technicality because they protect each other. You know what I mean? If somebody does a crime, we want the same punishment across the board. Not because this person is white, he get a slap on the wrist. This person is black, he gets unjust time. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about like major crimes. If you do something grimy, then you go in there, whatever. But I'm just talking about like small infractions where somebody will get a slap on the wrist if they're white, and somebody black will get like the book thrown at them for them being black. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just a lot. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but if you guys have anything else to say, I can speak on it and we'll talk. If not, we can wrap it.
One thing I'll just say, so in general too, I just want to say that because some people, they want to focus so much on the specific examples or instances and pick it apart in certain ways. And yes, sometimes the specifics are important, but like you said earlier, you know, it's not all cops. There are good cops, there are bad cops. There are good civilians, there are bad civilians. There's good and bad on all spectrums. It's not about political parties or agendas, this, that. Overall, I think everyone should be able to agree that as a society, we're hurting. As a society, it's a systemic issue that affects everyone, no matter where you're at, in different ways. And ultimately, we all need to come together and figure it out. So, yes, there's going to be some times where people feel, like you said, there's some times where there are legitimate accidents. Being a police officer is a tough job. You putting your life on the line, you sometimes dealing with dangerous people, and you also are trying to protect other people. Things can happen. You don't have all the information all the time. On the other side, you also have a job where you're called to protect and to serve, and there's a certain, standard that comes with that. So maybe they need better training. Maybe, there needs to be other processes in place. There needs to be accountability on all sides for all people when it comes to these kinds of things. And ultimately, right now, it's a systemic issue in our society, and that issue needs to be addressed somehow, some way. It's not going to happen overnight, and I don't think anybody has the complete solution. But at the end of the day, it's not like I'm not blindly looking at something one way or the other way. Like I said, it's a complicated issue, but I think when you break it down, there's too many instances where there are Black people who are not treated the same, or they're just given more of a raw deal. And we need to address it. We need to figure it out as a society and come together. And once again, we all know there's outliers or there's situations on different sides of the equation. But at the end of the day, as an overall society, look what it's doing to our society. It's affecting people. It's a real issue. And we all grow together. We can all be just an overall better society. If we do it together, we support each other, we're there for each other, and we try to figure it out.
Yep, absolutely. I have one other thing to say, and then I'll give it to y'all, and then we can wrap it. I know, like, I had this conversation before with people like, oh, they're talking about the George Floyd thing, and it was like, why is he the one at the time to be like the martyr, if you will, like the face of the movement? And I was saying, like, I'm a type person, and I'm just gonna give preface this. I'm a type person that I look at all things from all different angles. I try to understand both sides. I try to see the reasoning behind certain things, and not just go blindly into situations. Sometimes it's my own fault, but then sometimes it does hold me down. I was saying that you look at what happened with the Aubrey cat, right? Jogging, minding his business, got shot by two vigilante, evil, racist, pigs, white people who killed him. I'm not saying all white people, so please, when I say that, I don't want anybody saying, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about these particular people, okay? They came and they killed them, right? And then that happened back in February. Nothing was done until the video came out, and all of a sudden they want to play victim, right? So, but what happened, and I think Dave Chappelle said it too in his stand-up about it, when you saw what happened to him, regardless if the cops knew him, they had beef with him or nothing with George Floyd, you watch a person get killed on camera for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And if you're not a human being to understand why people will be upset about that, it's an issue. I'm not saying he was a perfect person. They pulled up his rap sheets, what they tend to do all the time. They'll find the most gangster picture. Like, God forbid something happened to me, they'll find like my old high school picture with me with braids, you know what I mean, with a red hat on and say, "Oh, this is Michael," not knowing that I've changed from that point. You know what I'm saying? Like with the family, they'll find the oldest joint and put that on there. So what I'm trying to say is that he wasn't a good guy. He wasn't, the most honest person, but he still didn't deserve that. And like I said before, when you look at certain situations where people of color are killed for less than nothing, I'm talking about just even asking a question, getting yoked up, shot at, hit, punched, stabbed, killed, right? And then you see the white counterparts doing the crime or more egregious. I'm talking about, I've seen white men who are armed, who can carry their gun legally, act like they're going to draw on a cop, and the cop would say, "Oh, chill, chill, chill." Wouldn't fire a bullet, and this guy got a gun, and he's about to pull it on you. You won't even pull. You won't even grab your gun. But a person of color who's sitting in his car, you ask him a question, you just want to kill him. And these people, these cops, right, who are killing these people, they're not living up to the oath. And I don't consider them cops. They're just evil people, racist people who just looking for a reason to kill people and get away with it. And the reason why they continue to do it is because they continue to get away with it. The moment you start putting these cops in jail for doing it, for good time, not like no slap on the wrist, for real time, and removing their pension and removing their benefits, these other cops are not going to do it. Because you're going to look at it with like, man, I don't want to lose it all just because I'm mad at this guy and I'm going to kill him. But when you have no repercussions, there's no punishment, you're going to continue to do the work. You're going to continue to do this evilness. And this is not only with police, this is in the medical field, with black women, how they get misdiagnosed for certain things, that they just like, "Oh, you okay, you good." When they're in the hospital, they complain about pain. There's how many women died in childbirth or died because they had ailments, and the doctor just said, "Oh, you all right," and just sent them on their way, right? This is all over. So we need to really address it. And it's not about us anymore, really, in the sense that this is their problem. You know what I mean? It's our problem, but it's their problem mentally, whereas that they have the issue. They have to fix the issue. You know what I'm saying? And I want us to know that it doesn't matter. You okay? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you didn't do anything wrong. You know, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. You're not the issue as far as them hating us the way they hate us. That is something that they have developed over the years. Some of it is just because they just want to just be hateful and evil people. All of it, actually, because there's nothing. And I'm losing the track. I'm just getting so upset. There's nothing that you could say. It's just so like weird. It's like it's not even like to say I went up there and I snuffed somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's just they see me, they see you, they see us, and they just want to hate, and they just want to just kill us, and they just want to like be that way. And I'm not saying all people. I'm not saying all cops. I'm not saying all white people. I'm just saying the racist individuals in this country, the racist individuals in this world who think like that, feel like that, and think that it's okay. They are the problem. They have a problem with themselves, and they need to be addressed, and they need to be dealt with. Period.
Listen, when you brought up just now about George Floyd's criminal record and how they like to pull up the criminal record, my thing with that is, okay, he had a criminal record. He might have been in jail a lot and stuff. But my thing is, what was he right in that moment? Was he a criminal in that moment? Because I'm not looking at him as a criminal. His track record might say that. His rap sheet might say it. But in that very moment, that very minute when he was standing on that corner, was he a criminal? Did he do something criminal that incriminated him? That's what I look at when I see these things. Like the guy that the cop shot 7 times. Was he doing something that warranted the shooting? That's what I go back to with all of this stuff. I don't want to hear about nobody's rap sheet or anything. I want to know what they were doing in that situation where they deserve to be shot. Tell me that. You answer that, and then I'll understand why you did it. If you can't give me that reason, I don't want to hear these reasons. I don't want to hear somebody tell me, "Oh, because I read these comments on the internet. Oh, they didn't talk about the fact that he was charged with domestic violence." Like, what does that have to do with that situation right there? Or, like, I don't want to hear anything about their criminal past. Tell me about what happened right there. What did you when you saw him get shot right there? Tell me what was he sexually assaulting a woman? Was he selling drugs at the time that he got shot, or like had his neck choked out, like choked to death? Or Taylor had people running her house. Was she doing something illegal when they ran up in her house and shot her? When the woman came into the man's house and shot the guy in his own apartment,
And
was he doing something criminally? Was the guy jogging? Was he like I could keep going on with these names? Was Rodney King doing something criminally when four men were beating the piss out of him when we were kids? When we were well, me and Mike, I know where you're old enough to remember that. I mean, what is it like?
You know what it is, man?
Tell me what they did criminally in that very second, and then I'll understand why you shot him.
Look, this is what it is, man. And we can get to the end on this. It's like, look, a lot of these things are just people like to make excuses and they like to justify these excuses. So for instance,
that's all it is.
If I can show that this person was a bad person, the common person who doesn't really pay attention to what's going on, they're gonna be like, oh, he was a bad person, so there's one less bad person, whatever. We don't value people as human beings anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even saying that based on my faith. You know, I mean, we grew up in the church and different things like that. I'm not even saying it based off that alone, as far as a God and Christ-like thing, but as a human being, it's like you don't even see the person. They don't view us as humans. So the issue is with that situation is that they try to do that to dehumanize you, to make you like, oh, he's just this vile animal, this vile beast, that they had no choice but to do that. But then yet and still you have these serial killers. You have that kid Dylan Roof, like I said, who killed people, who shot and killed people, right? The kid who broke into that Waffle House and killed those people, and that black guy end up getting the gun from him and saving the people, because he was like, look, I'm not going to die. He's going to have to work to kill me. You know what I'm saying? Burnt his skin off his hand because he grabbed the nozzle of the gun to prevent him from shooting him, and fought him and got the gun off of him. White kid, right? So he didn't get, treated as a hero. They asked him all the kind of questions, and that other kid got put into custody. You know what I'm saying? So the issue is that when you try to use those excuses, and then you see the opposite of that, whereas that these people who actually did violent and heinous crimes are brought in handcuffs with bulletproof vests on to protect them from stray bullets from outside, from people who might want to shoot them, so they can go through trial. And then they be like, oh, he's a bad youth. Or they'll find all kind of ways to sugarcoat it. Like, oh, like even recently, I think in the Wisconsin, they had riots, and this one kid, right, white kid, took guns, like a machine guns, and was shooting the protesters, starting fights with them and shooting them until I think he killed two of them, and some other people got hurt. And they was trying to say a vigilante at first, like trying to make it like he was like a Batman character, like a vigilante, try to save the city from the night and the darkness and looting. And then to come to find out, he killed those people, and now they're trying to say, oh, an expiring cop. You know what I mean? It's all about wordplay, all of it. You know what I'm saying? It is.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke.
Yeah, we already know how it is. We can go. We can go further, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm happy that the players did what they did. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to play. I mean, they said they're going to have. I mean, I looked at the list. They said the list is to consider the season or not, and some other things. But at the end of the day, and I'm sorry, Melik and Hollis, if you had more to say, but I'm just saying that this is a touchy topic. It's very one that's close to us because we live in these environments. We all grew up in Brooklyn as kids. We lived in the Rockaways, Melik and I, as teenagers, in other parts of Queens, and even where we go, no matter where we go, it's just in life.
It doesn't even matter where you go.
I'm just trying to say, as far as the inner city, and having to see that all the time, and see that relationship between the kind, how
and go through it, and go through it too.
I have a friend who got locked up because he forgot to pay a bike ticket he had back in 2006. Like, he literally forgot to pay the ticket, had a warrant for him. Now there's a summons because he rode a bike on the sidewalk. Mind you, black guy rode a bike on the sidewalk, and he was taking the train to work, and he went through the car, to get to the next train. And I stopped doing that for years because they pulled me off the train many times for that. He got pulled off the train. They ran his ID. They found he had a warrant. They took him in. He spent the night in the weekend in jail just for that. And they come to find just for the judge to be like, all right, no problem. You go ahead, about your business. and it's all racial profiling. The cop even admitted a white woman did the same exact thing, crawled through the cars, like went through the cars like, and they didn't pull her off the train. They didn't tell her that it was not right to do. They didn't say anything, but they use these as tools, especially in our community, to get us in the system so we can have a record to track us and do different things like that. But I'm not going to get further into that. But I'm just trying to say we just got to be hip to the game and know what we got to do. And like I said, we just got to be smart. Even with this come with the voting thing, voting is cool, but we got to start making these politicians more accountable and treating our vote as like a purchasable item. If you want my vote, you have to show me what you're gonna do for me. You got to give me some. The same way how you go to the store, you're not gonna go to the store or give somebody your money and don't get a product. You get what I'm saying? So they're not gonna get my vote and I get something. So we got to start doing that, and we gotta look at it because I'm pretty confident that the way things going with this election, it's gonna be another 4 years of that your boy, and then we
I don't
deal with
believe
that.
so.
I mean, I don't
I don't
believe
believe
so
so.
either, but like
I don't
somebody
believe
said,
so.
which is a good quote, it's like the Democratic Party got to stop giving us somebody to like hate against and give us a reason to vote.
I'm not hating on
So,
nobody because anybody would get my vote this year. I don't care if it was a local janitor in a
no, no,
school
no, no.
somewhere. They would get my
I
vote.
get what you're saying, but what I'm saying
I'm just telling you.
in the broader scheme of thing is like, for instance, like they threw Joe Biden out there. He like supposed to be this guy. He be saying some dumb stuff sometimes, looking stupid.
I don't care how dumb
Like,
he sound. He getting
yeah,
my
I
vote.
know, but I'm trying to say, you're gonna
Not
vote.
to bring up
No, no, no. I get
not
what
to
you're
bring
saying.
up
I get what you're
politics,
saying, but
but
what I'm saying is that I get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is that too long,
because this guy gotta go. I don't care who it
of
is.
course. And if we don't have nothing to vote, 'cause a lot of people getting kind of tired of the system. So it's like, yes, most people going to vote to try to get him out. I 100% agree with you.
The
I
same
100% agree with
the
you.
sad thing about what you're saying about everybody tied in the system, it's the same system since the United States been independence in
I know.
1776.
That's
It's
my
the
point.
same
My point is
system.
that when we
It's the
changed
same.
parties back in the day, it's because we went with the party that was going to be most reasonable to work with, which was at the time the Democratic Party. But for too long and for too many years, these parties have been just like lip service and not really doing anything for our communities. And we have been giving our votes for free and not getting nothing out of it that's substantial. So what I'm trying to say as a community, once we start getting to that point where we're like, you know what, we're gonna hold our votes. We got to bring it to the table. What you gonna give my community? What you gonna do? I'm not trying to say, oh, we're gonna give y'all, stimulus packages and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, stimulus. I'm not saying it like that, but I'm just trying to say like we gotta be more conscious on that level and more holding people accountable. I'm looking at this one as a wash. Obviously, we only got these two candidates, but moving forward, we got to try to do some things to shake things up. God willing, if the world is still intact and we still here. But at the end of the day, this is not even about us anymore. It's about our kids and the future generations. And I'll be damned. I want to have my daughter grow up in a society where people will be treating her like garbage and doing grimy stuff to her. It's not gonna happen. They're gonna have to kill me. So at that point, I'll wrap it from there. If y'all got anything else to say, y'all can say it.
Yeah, real quick, I'm gonna just say,
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna just say real quick, like when these cops out here doing this stupidness, they need to stop putting them on the desk duty and acting like they got all these problems. And what they also need to do is go arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor and handle all this stuff now.
Facts. Malik?
Well, yeah, and I was just gonna say, I think everything overall just falls down to a systemic issue in society overall. I mean, everything is a symptom on all sides of just the way society is, and we just need to change it. Like, I look on a base level, I know they have a tough job. I don't know what it's like trying to do that job, but at the same time, it's like a surgeon, right? That's a tough job, and they need to go through extensive training before they're given the reins to just start doing certain things sometimes. So it's like whatever that needs to happen, because the way things are right now is not working for nobody. And if that, like, no matter where you lie on any spectrum, it's a problem. It's not
Yep.
working. It's an issue. As a whole society, we need to come together, put a bunch of stuff like off to the side, like just forget about all the
The beef and
agendas and this and that to some extent, and just get to the core of these issues and really try to solve it. It's not about you trying to look this way, I'm trying to look this way, or I'm supporting this guy and you supporting that guy,
That's
so
that
I'm
raw
gonna
Brooklyn
blindly
basement
just
shit.
run this way and you blindly run that way, or we gonna fight each other to achieve what? We need to come together somehow, some way, for everyone's sake, and try to fix this real issue.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So again, I know this was not really a jokey type of podcast, but we had to get this off our chest. And I mean, there's a lot more to discuss, but you know, it's late and we just are kind of not numb to it, but it's just like a bit much. So I'm glad I was able to get you guys on so we can speak on this. Again, I want to thank you guys for listening and you know, supporting the channel. Like I said, you know, this might not be for everybody. This might not be the experience that you guys feel, but at the end of the day, this is from 4 black men that have been through this system, been through this whole thing. And, you know, it's easy to just say, oh, we could just get over it. You're not in our shoes. And I hope that you guys can relate to this or kind of empathize with this situation and try to, you know, look at yourself in the mirror. Like all this stuff, like Mike said back in the day, it starts with us. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and actually make the change. And we as a community, we just have to come together and really try to start treating each other better as well, our women better, being better fathers, being better men, being better community leaders, and just in general, just being a better community overall. You know, I know it ain't easy. There's going to be some things we have to get over, some things we have to learn. But if we do it together and this is a good step, I think we'll get it done. So again, thank you guys for listening and God bless.